Hello, now our word for today is confused, because I'm just overall confused on this. I don't know what to make of this, so please feel free to comment down below for your thoughts. I would appreciate that greatly. Now, I know both of them aren't squeaky clean on this, but I'm leaning towards Logan Paul's mismanagement and didn't handle the situation quite well. And him being a total bag of lies, manipulation, and shit. Now, to be honest, Logan Paul has such a massive dog shit resume to the public eye that I don't think I could believe him anymore. So without further ado, let me give you a snippet of what we're going to go over.
He says, I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me. I said, well, what do you want me to do for my bills, bro? I got no money. And he says, go have your rich dad pay for it.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. So let's start this off with a quick intro. So here's Logan Paul, famous person, prime, WWE superstar, massive crypto scammer, this incident, yada yada yada, famous person. And he has a podcast called Impaulsive that's composed of 3 main hosts, our big man Logan Paul, Mike Midgelak, and George Janko. So this drama started off with, I believe, 2 main catalysts. Number 1, Logan Paul mocking Jesus and believes like some insensitive asshole.
One that really hurt me is you told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus.
Jesus isn't doing it for you. Like, come on.
Yeah, but that's not...
Subscribe to a doctrine that slams homosexuality. Come on. If I say something, I've said it intentionally. I'll be honest with you, bro. Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. Really, I think you're so giant with your words, you really don't know what you step on when you say things.
I just don't know if I can get behind. Like, that's silly to me.
1 week later.
The following 3 weeks have been the hardest period of my life. There, things are showing up, misscheduled. Again, got violent fucking food poisoning. Next day, got alcohol poisoning. Luggage was delayed, so we had no clothes to get to our events. Qatar was the first time I felt the wrath of God.
Like, dude, we get it. You don't like/believe in Jesus, but you don't have to mock everyone that believes. But I digress. Because number 2, when they invited the legendary comedian Mr. Bobby Lee to the Impaulsive podcast and pretty much roast everyone there, especially our protagonist for today, Mr. George.
Is that your girlfriend? It is. You know, it's so weird. Without fame, you wouldn't get that. I wanted to say something crazy. I should.
You should.
And I've been editing. Your touches are very
Aggressive.
hard and aggressive. I don't know if it's your vibe or, you know what I mean? Just don't do it again.
I'm holding on to things that I shouldn't be holding on to.
You done? It was just a long monologue.
Do you fucking listen?
No.
Oh,
Oh, all right. No,
God.
I get what's going on. I get what you're acting like a fucking asshole. Right? Your eyebrows are way too thick.
They are.
And you got to get that trimmed. You look like a fucking animal.
Dude.
There you go.
And this is when the iconic George Janko walkout happened.
He is clocked out.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
George has been under a tremendous amount of abuse.
No.
No, stop, George. I want you over here with me. George, I want you over here with me. Chase him down. Go. You find him. George, no, go get him. Go get him. I said this, he walked, and that's a first, and now we're going to have to deal with the fallout of this episode for the next 2 months. I swear to God, Bobby Lee, you pissed off my co-host. He's probably crying in the driveway.
I mean, he really goes in George's holes. And I mean, in the podcast, they threw shots at each other, but Mr. Bobby Lee just went in. I mean, I understand that comedian crosses lines all the time, but this is something else. So after that, Mr. George left the Impaulsive podcast and starts his own podcast. Now, a few days ago, he invited Logan Paul's lapdog, Mr. Mike Midgelak. And we finally got to hear the sides of Mr. George, so let's dive in.
This is where we probably have to get into the material. Like, that was
Bobby Lee situation.
No, hold on. We can talk about those. Okay, I'll listen and said, yeah.
Okay, the Bobby Lee situation.
Who was the first person that jumped off the couch and said, George just left, that was not good, we have to fix the situation?
But did they not cut shit that you should have stood up for me and said, hey, you can't cut that shit? That's gonna make him look like an idiot for leaving.
Okay, let's slow down, and I'll answer that. We have always cut. This is all healthy, by the way. We have always cut.
Start crying.
No. Which by the way would be healthy. We have numerous times on the show, which I'm sure a number of shows do, cut things that we believe will protect the integrity or reputation of the guest.
That protected nobody but him.
No, of the guest. That's what I'm trying.
Well, what about the guy that you break bread with, bro?
But we removed a number of things that you said on the podcast.
Name one.
Well, no, I'm not going. I'm not
Eat
going. To.
booty, bro.
No,
Never
no. Do
once.
you want me to?
Name
There was
one.
something that you said on the laser beam episode.
What laser beam episode?
Do you remember laser beam in Australia? When
What'd
we
I
did
say?
that episode. I'd rather not say. I could tell. Why don't I just tell you?
Just tell me.
after?
I'll beep it.
You said something about like laughing at a girl getting hit in like a parking lot. You saw like a
Oh,
fight.
yeah, I just said the joke wrong.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I didn't
just-
sexually harass somebody, man.
I'm not.
Well, there you go. Well, in fairness, he is absolutely right. While watching the podcast, I didn't see like direct wiener grabbing. Now it was revealed that they cut around it. And what happened to the podcast, I'm not really a fan of. It makes me really uncomfortable, like with the unsheathing wieners, touching and smelling wieners. Like, that's not my cup of tea. I mean, I could take it, but it will be really, really uncomfortable.
But you, okay, Mike,
Sure.
if this was an episode that was you, and what happened to you, and then the whole world thinks that I walked away because I can't take a joke, that's fucked, bro. That's fucked.
It parlayed into more stuff happening down the line. Like it just became at that point. You saw me. I went on Bobby's show.
Yeah.
Right.
And they cut around it. You said that
Well, I didn't. I have no control over that. I didn't.
I try to make peace with this guy.
I know.
You've seen me.
Yeah.
I've tried to make peace with him behind closed doors. I try to reach out. I try to be cool. But by the way, and I'll just say this, we'll just empty it out. I never had a problem with Bobby Lee.
No, he knows.
I had a problem with the way that Logan and you were kind of gassing him to keep doing. He started the episode putting his balls in my face. I let that one go. Then every 2 seconds, he kept grabbing my dick.
I don't think.
How would you feel if a man that has his back completely towards you, that only turns around to grab your dick,
Right.
talk shit to your face, and you can't smack or beat the living breaks off of this guy? Because Logan makes me apologize to this man, or I don't have a job on Impaulsive anymore. How f***ing crazy is that?
I don't think I understood.
You know, Mr. Mike looks like he is stuck in the middle. In the middle of sucking his master's wiener and being a good friend. And wow, talk about disrespect. I mean, imagine if that were true, Mr. Logan. I am somehow not surprised. Having your co-host experience that shit and you making him look like a sensitive asshole and someone who couldn't take a joke, no wonder he's mad. But it's true though that the podcast cherries set it up weird, where one of the hosts will inevitably have the guests back facing them. I mean, the guests are going to be inclined to face the side with more people. And I know if that's psychological, but that's just what I observe whenever I'm in a group discussion with friends. The one in the center is inclined to face more on the side with more people. Case in point, their setup.
I can only speak for myself.
Bro, it's
I
not a
hope
group
you.
chat.
I hope you can
It's not a
understand
group
that.
chat.
No.
And when I asked him
I'm talking
point
about.
blank,
No, I'm talking about during. No, I'm talking about during the episode because there was. I didn't know that you were feeling.
But after the
type of
episode,
way
do you
about
remember
it.
when you called me? And I said, Mike, this is all that happens. And you said, verbatim, you said, it's our fault for not telling you this, but me and Logan are really the ones who should be talking to the guests. You are really there for a boys only episode. So while I get sexually harassed, my other co-host is trying to fire me and you're trying to leverage me to be quiet during other guests. And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
I just think.
On my 30th birthday, you shot 3 episodes.
I
bro.
think
That's crazy. It was on the calendar for months.
I think by the time we got there was so much like confusion and disarray in the podcast that there was no coming back. We got to
but it
we got
wasn't
to a
my
point.
fault.
No. First of all, I didn't say it was your fault.
Okay, now a lot of factors is at play here. Chaos ensued. And Mr. Mike here looks guilty as shit. He looks like he's trying his best to defend his and his master and savior Logan Paul's image in the face of truth. And notice Mr. George said that they shot episodes back to back on his birthday. Now that is just crazy. And I understand that there's a lot of shit that went through, but still, that's ultra disrespectful.
The last straw for me was, Mike, I had to escape. I had to leave for my own fear. When Logan came after me for my religion, the show hit rock bottom and we weren't getting paid. I was getting paid $5,000 a month, and that's covering just Reed. I have a mortgage. I have my sister that works for me. I have Belle. I'm trying to get married. I had all these things. So I had to start my own show because we're not making money on this show and I'm getting pushed out of this show.
Well, at the time we weren't making money. You made money on the show.
But at the time, we're a couple months.
How much money did you make over the course
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
Right.
Name me a job that you're a part of that you spend $10,000 to get. Okay, so that's 1. 2, and by the way, let's not forget that for a year and a half I didn't get paid.
But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the
What would
way,
you say, like,
always grateful. I was always
something
grateful.
like
for it. Yeah, I don't like to talk about money, but I was
Sorry.
always grateful. Always grateful. I think anybody could see that.
Now that is weird though. So what is he spending $10,000 on per month just to be on a show where he is not the owner?
I was.
Over the
I can
course
show
of the-
you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
right.
So I'm just a little confused there. So I can only imagine two things. So he's either paying for his own food, travel rides, hotel, etc., or he's like contributing to production costs like a co-owner. But that is extremely unlikely because if that were the case, he could have just said so, right?
But when I got pushed out, and I'm seeing that I'm getting pushed out, and I start my own show, do you know what my final straw was?
What?
I got my show going, and then not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impaulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. And I'm saying, hey man, you can't tell me what to do on my own show. That's not okay.
What's that about?
He told me that I couldn't take Celsius. And then I said, hey
He
man,
didn't tell you that you couldn't
I have
take
text
Celsius.
messages.
No, he didn't tell you that you couldn't take Celsius. He
says if I take Celsius, I'm not a part of Impaulsive.
Then he told you that if you take Celsius, that you cannot continue to be on Impaulsive, which is the core driver for Prime, as you're going to continue to funnel viewership from the Impaulsive show back to your show, which promotes a competitive product.
Yeah.
He also told you that if you wait 6 months after the deal's done, you're more than welcome to rejoin the show.
I mean, okay, that somehow makes sense because most of Mr. George's views is coming from Impaulsive. But if Mr. George is not part of them anymore, why would you direct someone's decision here, big guy?
But they're always trying to find a way to push me out.
I don't.
You know what he told me? When I told
think
you know what I
that
told
was-
hold on,
I
hold
think
on.
that was
this
a
is a guy who's this is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making. Okay, and on top of that, we never got any money from Prime, and we own that show. So technically, we should have gotten a percentage of that. I never asked for it like the way you did. I stayed the f out of it. I didn't care because I'm grateful for what I'm making. I'm gonna go start my own business. But when I come over here, because I'm scared I'm gonna lose my job here, and then you're saying no. When I get that call and I tell him, I go, Logan, I get it, bro, and I fully told him, I go, listen, man, like, I will take half the deal that Celsius gives me. Half. If you want to put it on the table for my show, a quarter, work with me. He says, I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me.
Wow, that is extreme power, Snorton, bro. Let's hear that again.
He says, I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me.
Big man Logan never ceases to disappoint. He must be drunk in power and spoiled milk when he said that. Extreme power tripping. And oh, he's not done.
I said, well, what do you want me to do for my bills, bro? I got no money. And he says, go have your rich dad pay for it.
Listen,
That's fighting words, bro. Look at me. That's fighting words, bro. You don't
would
bring up
say-
somebody's father.
Would you say
bro.
that the way that you handled it from a word standpoint was mature, acceptable?
What did I say? That I beat the brakes off of him?
Correct.
If he was in front of me, I would have swung at him.
But that's what I'm trying to say. We were at a point where no one was speaking properly to each other. And
Classic Logan Paul. I mean, sure, emotions are high, but from analyzing the scenario and Mr. Mike's reaction, Mr. George is most likely telling the truth. Because, okay, so what Mr. George said was not okay, not mature, but that's in response to Logan Paul's instigation. And, I mean, surprisingly, Mr. George has enough respect for him to even negotiate and to compromise. And this is what he got?
He says, I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me. I got no money. And he says, go have your rich dad pay for it.
Ugh.
And the only person, and George, and the only person probably that was the calmest out of the three, I sent you a very nice text message. Please, I sent
Mike, you went to Celsius to try to get my deal. Called me right after you called them. You never called to check in on me.
Do you know?
You never called to
I texted you.
No, you didn't. It was
I
after
texted
you went after the deal.
And by the way, I wasn't going after the deal.
You
I
did.
was going after the contract to bring to Logan and say, beat this with Prime, please. I was never going to take the Celsius
But
deal.
listen, you can't. Okay, so I have one friend telling me to go have my rich.
We're just having a conversation. The one thing I am a little bit upset about was the text that you sent back to me. That's it.
I told you you're a piece of shit. Everyone
Evil,
knows it.
yes.
You need to. But dude, I meant every word of it.
That's crazy.
No, I'm
That's
not.
crazy. That's
if you
insane.
fell out, if you
That's
fell
an
out,
insane
if
statement.
you fell out and you started doing scummy moves to your friend, I called you out on it,
But I
bro.
didn't do anything.
You know, I kind of felt sorry for the both of them. I mean, you know, the only thing that looks bad here is Logan, because it's like two of his co-hosts are borderline brainwashed, because Mr. Mike, I feel, is kind of a genuine friend to Mr. George, but Mr. George has been whacked down so much by Logan, and Mr. Mike has been riding Logan's wiener hard, and that, I believe, caused so much chaos for the both of them.
I kind of want to pivot from this just because like it's unfair to talk about him because like he's not
here.
Yeah.
He's not here.
And just to make it clear, because people are gonna clip it, nothing that I went through would I change. I have great memories with Logan. I really do. I have great memories with him. He's taught me so much in life that I could handle now through what he's put me through and what he's taught me. He is one of God's greatest sharpening tools that I've ever had in my life. There's going to be so many things that I teach my children that he taught me. There is nothing that I regret with that relationship, but I will not bow anymore. And if he wants to come to me as a man and we could discuss it as men, then we'll talk about it. But I'm no longer his right hand. I'm not going to be it.
First of all, you were only his left.
I just love how he said that Logan Paul is the greatest sharpening tool that God ever gave. Like, the experience from Logan Paul must be so rough you'll come out sharp as hell. So after that, Logan did respond to this, trying to refute all of Mr. George's claims, and like I said, he proves time and time again that he is two things. A, he is a good WWE wrestler, and B, he is a total scumbag overall. Sorry, let me reiterate that. Scam bag. So I don't think I will be able to believe anything here. You know what? It feels strangely similar to his response to CoffeeZilla. Like the tone, the vibe, the everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is lying again.
I had to start my own show because we're not making money on the show and I'm getting pushed out.
You made money on the show.
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
All right, let's talk about this. Obviously, I wasn't on the podcast to represent myself, so I'd like to clarify a few things that were said. As well as having his own credit card, all expenses related to the show were paid for, including all travel and lodging. Obviously, George's total reimbursement came out to $20,000, 317 cents. I'd love to see any books that show otherwise. Spending $120,000 a year to be on a show is a little confusing.
This is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making.
This statement is so crazy that it's almost laughable. That would mean I'm making $572 million a year. I'm nowhere near that. What happened was Prime had a very successful month. I think we did like 60 to 70 million, and I sent it to our group chat because I was proud of the business. I was stoked to show the boys, and I think George maybe misinterpreted that as like my personal income.
Okay, so maybe Mr. George's wording is a little off, so no one knows what's the real truth here. It's now mostly hearsay, so let's skip that for now.
The show hit rock bottom and we weren't getting paid. I was getting paid $5,000 a month.
But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the
What
way,
would you say,
always
like-
grateful. I was always grateful.
like
for
that?
it. Yeah, I don't like to talk about money.
I know he doesn't want to talk money. I know he bleeped it out, but George made $317,000 in the 15 months that he got paid for on Impaulsive. The work requirements consisted of about 3 days a month, 3 hours each day, traveling the world, networking, and meeting some of the coolest people ever. It comes out to about $2,300 per hour, and he also had 10% equity of the entire show.
And this part is where it gets rough. Remember when Mr. George said that he doesn't want to talk about money, aka their earnings? And here we have our big man Logan revealing his earnings to the world. You just know what kind of a friend / person he is from this action alone. I mean, he couldn't even respect a simple request such as that.
Not you, not Caleb, not Kevin, not Dylan. Nobody called me when I got fired.
George did not get fired. He quit. I'll touch on that in a second. But after he quit, I called him frequently. I reached out. I wanted to reconcile the friendship. I invited him to my birthday party and WrestleMania and even my ranch a few weeks later. He chose not to come. He also unfollowed all the people he mentioned on Instagram, which is maybe why they didn't call him. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but he still does not follow them to this day.
And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
The 2 episodes he's talking about, not 3, were shot 4 days after George's birthday. His birthday's on January 3rd. We shot those episodes on January 7th. We were already in Vegas signing the UFC to Prime, and as we do, want to capitalize on the location and our use of time and energy and the guests in that city. George didn't come to work because he wanted to spend time with his family for his belated birthday, which I totally understand and we even praised.
One of the things that I love about George, he prioritizes his family and friends over anything.
So about their relationship, I am leaning towards Mr. George's side on this because of Mr. Mike's reaction to that.
On my 30th birthday, you shot 3 episodes.
I think
that's crazy. It was on the calendar for months.
I think by the time we got there was so much like confusion and disarray in the podcast that there was no coming back.
See? two contradicting statements. If Mr. Mike really is the right hand of Logan, some of Logan Paul's information should leak to Mr. Mike, should it not? So their statement should be somewhat similar, but it's not. But yeah, chaos is present, and I believe that big man Logan here, being a good friend, decided to time the filming when Mr. George is not around.
He told me that I couldn't take Celsius.
So this is the big one. Making calls, trying to make it seem like I wanted to control his show is absolutely ridiculous. As you can see right here, I was like, hey, we got to get you Prime because I saw him drinking our competitor and he told me to call him. He was filming my reaction to tell me he took a deal with a competitor. I told him, please don't film. Like, I'd like to talk about this. I hope you're joking, by the way. The truth is, I thought it was a bad look that my best friend and co-host took a brand deal with our competitor without consulting me, asking me, giving us even a chance to match it before he signed the deal, because the audience that he's building, at least at the time, on his own podcast was being funneled directly from the podcast that I was building with him. I said, hey dude, I understand you need to make money. The entire text is right here that I sent him after our conversation, because I did understand his position if he needed to make money, but I thought it was also a little odd because he did make $317,000 in 15 months. Regardless, I did tell him I can't have him on Impaulsive if he's going to take the deal with the competitor, but if after he makes the money he wants to come back to the podcast, he's more than welcome.
A lot of words came out there, but where's this part?
He says, I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me. I said, well, what do you want me to do for my bills, bro? I got no money. And he says, go have your rich dad pay for it.
So where is it? Not gonna lie, we the people understand the business competitor thing, but what about the things that you said? You're not gonna address that? Wow. I'm gonna cut out a lot, but basically Logan just said some heartwarming words just to tell you how amazing of a person he is on supporting everyone and anyone around him.
There's a lot more. I'm not going to get into it, but this isn't to say, by the way, that I didn't fuck up along the way. I did. I should not have mocked his beliefs. I apologize for that. I should have stuck up for him with Bobby Lee, and I definitely should have had his back more like a friend. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, but here we are. It saddens me that our story has unfolded this way. I wish him nothing but health, wealth, happiness, all the success that he wants, and I hope that one day we can sit down and have a relationship and a conversation.
A dog shit finish there. I mean, Logan started off with methodically, piece by piece, countering Mr. George's statement. And now in the end, he just summed it up? What? Like, where's the sexual harassment part? What's your response to that? Now, you see why I just couldn't believe him. It's obvious that he is leaving out parts to make him look good. And now after this, Mr. George recorded a response on TikTok.
Dang. First of all, happy Mother's Day before I get into this drama, because I gotta go take my mom out. I'm having a splendid day today. Second, yo, your TikTok is cute, bro. It's cute. I get it. You're doing your best to show face. Do whatever you need, bro. Like, talk to your team. Do whatever you need. But when you want to be a man, come talk to me like a man. Let's sit down like men and talk about it. Mike did it. Mike's a real man. He had the chance to come, sit, talk, show all of his points of views, brother. You could bring camera. You could bring your attorney, bro. Come sit on the couch and talk to me like a man. Let's talk, bro. Because obviously you want to talk. Let's talk. Come talk to me, bro.
Yeah, so I do wonder what's gonna happen to this story, but I am leaning towards Mr. George's side. I really do think that Logan Paul goofed up here, but what do you guys think? So that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching. Bye.